I'm thankful for many things. I'm thankful for the messages we have heard already tonight. Thankful for the message we heard from Haley. That was beautiful. Amen. Thank you. Tonight I want to share something with you that might not at first sound very thankful. My name is Tim Rempel, and I'm the pastor at the Delhi First Southern Baptist Church. And as some of you know, historically, even though the order of the program tonight is different, historically, I was associate pastor here first. So historically, I'm First Timothy, and Brother Weimer is Second Timothy. But a few months ago, I was having an experience that dragged me down into the depths of discouragement. I don't know, fellow pastors, if you ever get discouraged, but I know what that's like. And our church is a small church, and we've seen beautiful things happen. I've been a pastor there for 3 years and 3 months. And during the first 2 years, we saw people saved, we saw people baptized, things were going well, and I was excited about the ministry. But something happened about September, not this past September, but September a year ago. We had people lined up to be baptized, and they decided not to get baptized. And since then, we've had a period of what I would call ministerial drought. You know what I mean? No baptisms, no conversions that I'm aware of, no real responsiveness that I would like to see. And about July, I was feeling kind of discouraged and down. And I was asking God, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? Could you send me a word of encouragement? Something that would help me to press on. And I didn't know how we would respond. I left it wide open. Something happened that week that shocked me. This didn't sound too shocking at first. I picked up some of the mail that is forwarded to me through the church's mailbox. And I picked up a letter from a church in Copperopolis. I have never been to Copperopolis. I know one man who I heard was a pastor in Copperopolis, but this wasn't from him or his church. I opened up this letter, and it was a letter informing me that this was a church that sensed from God that their ministry was to encourage the ministers of small churches. And that someone had given me their name, or them my name. And in it was a check for over $100. And they told me that they were simply doing this to encourage me in the ministry, to let me know that God was blessing even though it didn't look like it. And that they wanted to be the means, the tool by which God could send his blessing. I needed that so bad. And I wept as I opened that letter and as I read it and I looked at that check. The seed of thanksgiving is giving. Because this church had a generous heart, and they gave without even knowing who I am. Simply on a verbal recommendation. Their gift prompted me to give thanks to God because I had asked them to show me a sign of encouragement. The Apostle Paul talks about a very similar incident. In fact, I was reading in 2 Corinthians this morning, and it prompted me to remember that story. And as I was reading in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, I came to verses 12 through 15. Let me read them for you. Paul is reminding the church in Corinth that they had made a promise, a pledge, if you will, to support some needy people. And he didn't want them to have made a very generous pledge and not be able to follow through by actually giving what they had pledged. So he writes them a letter and says, I hope you guys have taken enough offerings so that you have enough money to give this gift that you promised to give. Because if you don't have enough money to give this gift that you promised to give, we're kind of going to be embarrassed. Now, he said that in King James language, I'm sure, but that's my interpretation of what he said. And then starting at verse 12, he says this: "This service that you perform is not only supplying the needs of God's people, but it is also overflowing in many expressions of thanks to God." I said, wow. The seed of thanksgiving is giving. We are entering a season of giving, aren't we? A season where we love to give as expressions of love to friends, to family, to those even those who are needy, who we don't even know. This is a season of giving. And that giving should prompt many people to give thanks to God, not to take it for granted. So it's important that thanksgiving comes into our minds because of giving. But then I thought to myself, well, what's Paul want to say here to some of us in 2008? See, Paul, we have a recession in 2008. Some of us are not experiencing a good time financially. Some of us have been hurt by financial problems. Paul, what would you say to those of us in 2008 whose loved ones are sick or suffering? What would you say to us? Some of us whose loved ones have passed to glory just recently. What would you say to us? And he ends this text in chapter 9, verse 15 by saying, "Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift." And I say, what are you talking about? He's talking about the grace gift that has been given to the Corinthian church. That God has actually given them a gift to give. But even deeper than that, he is talking about the grace gift of Jesus Christ himself. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Because God gave, and God continues to give, and God will keep on giving as long as you and I live. Because God gives, we give thanks.
Amen.
Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift.
Amen.